Trump is hitting many countries with higher tariffs. The deadline for Russia to face more sanctions was Friday, yesterday. But it's not clear right now if the United States will hit Moscow with those penalties with next week's Alaska summit in place. With us now is NewsNation political contributor and former Office of Management and Budget Director, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, good morning. Great to see you today.
Good morning, Anna.
So how do you see President Trump using the tool of sanction powers as part of these upcoming talks?
You know, he's got a bunch of tools available to him. Sanctions are one of them. But face it, they haven't had that dramatic of an impact over the course of the last couple of years. The Russians have shown an ability to sort of work around the sanctions. They have been selling their oil on the secondary markets. That's one of the things that's driving a wedge between us and the Indians right now, because the Indian nation is still buying Russian oil. So sanctions are a tool, there's no question, but they're not very effective right now. You could also do tariffs. But keep in mind that Russians don't export that much to this country anyway. So, you know, short of military, there's not the same type of tools that Trump has can bring to bear against Russia that he might be able to bring against other nations.
All right. Well, we have seen Trump secure several ceasefires around the world, but despite campaigning on ending wars in Gaza and Ukraine, the bloodshed continues in both areas. As far as Russia and Ukraine goes, though, why is this one difficult for Trump to get over the finish line?
Yeah, that's an easy answer. Putin. Putin is the problem here for Trump, and I think he's come to realize that now. He came into office believing that Zelensky was the real impediment to peace in the region, and I think now Trump has fully accepted the fact it's not. Zelensky wants a deal. They will give up land despite what he says and so forth. There's no chance that Crimea is going back to Ukraine, period, end of story. So that's a lot of sort of posturing. But Zelensky does want a deal. I don't think Putin does, and that's what's frustrating Trump so much. Trump really did think this war would be over by now. He thought he'd be able to broker a deal. I think he's very excited about getting to Alaska. Keep in mind, that's a very, very short notice for a meeting of this gravity. It's hard to move the president under that shorter term, certainly hard to move a Russian president into a foreign country and so forth. So I would imagine that the Trump team is very excited about it, but the prospects are still questionable because I'm not sure, and I don't think they're sure, how much Putin really wants a deal.
And what do you make of that evolution about the way Trump now views Putin? I mean, before we would hear him say things like he's very cunning. We had a great conversation. Things are progressing. And then he started to say, you know, I'm getting frustrated with him. That's BS. You know, I mean, it's just been progressively getting worse and worse and worse. He doesn't like being played for a fool. So how does that play into these talks?
Yeah, not very well. I think Trump has to do something very important. In any negotiation, you have to have credibility with the other side. And I think if they're being honest with themselves, the Trump team would admit they probably don't have the same credibility that they've had in the past with Putin. You know, they've threatened deadlines and so forth, and they've moved. They really haven't done that much to sort of pop Russia since they came back into office and so forth. Certainly there's been no military action. We've talked about sending military support to Ukraine and so forth. There's been some increase there. But generally speaking, there hasn't been a lot of development. And I think the Russians are probably sitting back and wondering how much credibility Trump brings to the table when he says, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Getting that credibility back is absolutely critical. Trump's completely capable of doing it. He's a great negotiator. But they've got to cross that bridge first before I think they can have really meaningful conversations.
Well,
thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.